If you love staying on the cutting edge of the Pittsburgh food scene, you've got to check out the Franklin Street Market on the north side. It's a new evening food market featuring emerging Pittsburgh food producers. Franklin Street Market is your opportunity to discover emerging local food brands, and it's happening just 2 more times this season. So Thursday, September 19th and Thursday, October 17th, both from 4 to 8 p.m. at 1243 North Franklin Street. Come experience what's hot and what's rising in Pittsburgh food at Franklin Street Market. Learn more and apply to be a food or art vendor at franklinstreetmarketpgh.com. Today on CityCast Pittsburgh, the Democrats have been camping out here ahead of tonight's presidential debate, and a local spice purveyor got some love from the campaign. We're talking about how folks have responded to all the attention on Pennsylvania. Plus, there are a bunch of new films and TV shows you can watch featuring the Steel City and its people right now, including a couple clips of Pittsburgh boys going kind of hard for the Steelers. It's Tuesday, September 10th. I'm Megan Harris, and here's what Pittsburgh's talking about. I'm with CityCast producer Sophia Lowe. Good morning.
Good morning, Megan. How are you?
Doing good. Seal coming off of the high of a Steelers win, although it was kind of ugly. I know you didn't watch, though.
No, I didn't. I knew it was happening, and that was a win enough for me.
Honestly, I'm impressed. We did win, but there's a sports-adjacent thing that I think you would actually enjoy way more than any kind of sports talk. Do you watch Hot Ones?
Yes, I do. It is such a fun interview concept.
It is so good. If you have not seen it, it's a YouTube series where a host asks questions of like a celebrity guest, somebody important, while both of them, host and guest, eat increasingly hotter chicken wings or seitan or boneless or whatever.
Yeah, it's really fun to see who has like a very visceral reaction to the spice, and like Lord just calmly, coolly eating the spiciest wing.
Some people are so graceful about it, and some people they lose their ability to answer questions as it gets hotter, which is like part of the fun of it.
Totally. And all of this is happening just on a really sparse set. Like the background is completely black. So it's the host on one side of the table, guest on the other, and there's just bottles and bottles of hot sauce between them and a glass of milk.
Yeah, and different kinds of milk. They'll they give you your choice of milk. I think only like whole milk though is actually helpful, or like half and half, although that sounds terrible to drink because you have to have the fat to like quench the hotness, the spiciness.
Peanut butter also works if you're looking for like a non-dairy something, but I don't know if like eating a spoonful of peanut butter is also that great, like in between your wings. I don't know.
Right? It sounds like it would like kind of grease up your mouth. Anyway, the host Sean Evans is legit one of the greatest interviewers of our age. He's so blunt, but he's also very kind. And the prep in these interviews, like he must do so much research, or his team must. It is just so impressive.
Right? Like, it is such a silly concept to be eating spicy food while interviewing celebrities about their career, but, you know, also their inspiration, all of that. The questions are really thoughtful.
They really are. But the most recent guest is one of Pittsburgh's most famous football players right now. So Cam Heyward.
Never heard of him.
He is enormous. He's been here a long time.
Embarrassing for me.
I think he's credited at 6'5", almost 300 pounds. He plays on the defensive line, and he's now a team co-captain, which is a nice accolade.
Okay, you said he's been here for a while, so in sports, does co-captain just mean that seniority, or like he's emotionally stable and people will listen?
Both, usually.
Okay.
He is a veteran. He was drafted in 2011 to the team, which was just a few months after the Steelers' last trip to the Super Bowl that we unfortunately lost. But we were coming off like the biggest game in the world, and he joins the team. And I think he's probably been chasing that ever since.
Yeah, but how do you do with the wings? That's what I care about right now.
Obviously. Different vibe for a normal Hot Ones show on this one. Like, there were extra segments. It was also highly sponsored, which I'm not used to for this show.
Interesting.
Like Sean Evans producers and stuff were doing things. Cam only did 5 sauces instead of the normal 10. And he tapped in on the milk right away, which I think that's what I would do. Like, but he did keep eating the wings. Like,
okay, so he's being a good sport about it.
Totally.
He's trying.
He He said he didn't eat breakfast, Sophia, and he was starving when he got there.
That's not good to do hot sauce on an empty stomach.
No. And he said, like, the wings were also just, like, really delicious when they weren't destroying him. He was having a lot of trouble. There was an Imodium joke at one point. Like, it seemed rough.
Okay, if I do ever make it on Hot Ones for whatever reason, I am going to try to convince them to let me do 5 wings too, because I want to do really well, but I know I'm going to like go in with too much confidence and immediately would also be humbled, like sipping on the milk really soon.
Oh my gosh. Some people like literally drink the hot sauce. I don't know how you do it. I would absolutely tap out probably on wing 1 or 2. But anyway, if you want to watch this very large ambassador of Pittsburgh eat hot wings, he talks about his charity work here. He won the NFL's like biggest award for philanthropic work, which he said was like the honor of his career, far and away cooler than anything he's ever done on the field. The one he talked about provides suits for young men in high school and college to help them feel their best. It was
that's awesome.
Created in honor of his father, who I guess only had the one suit for a very long time and just like kind of was in his feels about it. So they're trying to prevent that for folks. But he also shares his favorite Pittsburghese words. I won't give it away, but they were fun. And then there was a question about Cam's podcast. Did not know he had one. I guess he interviews celebrity football fans. It's called Not Just Football. So they talk about football, but also other stuff. And the host of Hot Ones asked him how becoming an interviewer himself has shifted his approach to the player-media relationship. And once again, just such a smart question. And the answer was really good, too.
Okay, I guess I will have to go check that out to find the answer. Is there anything else I need to know about Pittsburgh football this week?
Yeah, just so you're prepared for the water cooler talk. The game this past Sunday was very weird. We did win, but only because we have the best kicker in the game. Kicker's name is Chris Boswell.
Also a name that's new to me.
He was responsible for all 18 points, so 6 field goals. And he set a team record for the most field goals in one game over 50 yards. There were 3 separate kicks that were over 50 yards.
Cannot conceptualize moving anything over 50 yards with a kick. Like, wild.
Yeah, with perfect accuracy in front of 20,000 plus people. The next game is Sunday in Denver. So once again, you don't have to worry about parking on the North Shore, except for, those people who tailgate for games that aren't actually happening here. So, Sophia, what were you glued to for the last few days?
Well, the presidential debate between Harris and Trump is tonight. It is going to be hosted by ABC News, and it's going to be in our state, but other side, it's going to be in Philly at the National Constitution Center. But the thing that really surprised me was that I read in the Washington Post that it's going to be the first time that Trump and Harris are going to meet face to face. Shouldn't they know each other already?
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised too. Like, I think of DC as being this like super small place. And if you're moving in like a high enough echelon, like you know all the players in that circle, but I guess not. Both candidates have been spending so much time in Pennsylvania. We talked about this on Friday, but all the analysts are saying Pennsylvania is basically going to decide the entire election.
So many headlines.
It's so weird. I hate it. I hate everything about it. But anyway, Harris and Walz specifically have been all over Western Pennsylvania the last few days.
Yeah, Walz especially has been doing a lot of that bopping around, and not just exclusively in Pennsylvania. He was also in D.C. over the weekend. He was giving a keynote speech at a dinner for the Human Rights Campaign.
Yeah. And then before that, he stopped at Pamela's and he and his daughter Hope bought whoopie pies at Cherry Hill Orchards. That's over in Lancaster. Hope said in one of the videos that they're a quote unquote pumpkin family, which I feel like a lot of us this time of year can really get behind.
I also went to Pamela's recently, did not run into Walz. If I did, microphone out of the backpack. Just kidding. Just the phone.
I appreciate that commitment.
Well, Harris has been here, but she's mostly been staying downtown in the Omni William Penn. She's supposed to be preparing for tonight's debate there. She hasn't been going out too much to any events, but there was a protest in Mellon Square that's across from the hotel over the weekend. A couple of local pro-Palestine groups posted about it. As for why they were protesting this specific visit, Pitt Apartheid Divest wrote about how they wanted to see the Democratic Party, break away from their support for Israel and said, quote, "We stood resolute, reminding Kamala that by funding the bombs dropped on Gaza over the past 11 months, she is complicit in genocide. Despite the Democratic Party and Kamala's claims of working toward a ceasefire, their actions tell a different story."
All of that was a quote from the folks with Pit Apartheid Divest. Some voters across the country, I know, have been asking Harris to commit to an arms embargo so the U.S. would stop sending weapons to Israel with taxpayer money for what it's worth. I also saw videos of folks just like posted up outside the hotel hoping for like a glimpse of the candidate. I did not see anyone that claimed to be successful.
I bet security was pretty intense.
I'm sure they were. And I mean, it was a pretty deep barricade, like much wider than, say, for example, like, you know, if you're at like a music concert, there's always that like big gap between the stage. It was like double or triple that. So like, I don't think anybody was getting close, but I still thought it was sort of funny that folks were like sort of paparazziing around just to see if they could catch a look. Kamala Harris did stop by Penzeys in the Strip District at some point because the campaign posted a very emotional video of a woman who like seemed to desperately need a hug.
Yeah, very different reaction in Penzeys.
Yeah. By the by, we actually got a note from a Hey Pittsburgh reader about Penzeys, and I had noticed it too. I don't know if this has been in your feed, but I have been getting a ton of Penzeys ads the last few months in my social feed. They are incredibly political and just like not what I expected to get from a spice purveyor.
I do not get Penzeys ads. They know not to target me because I think their spices are too expensive for just me to like buy them for everyday use. As a gift or whatever, it's fine, but I'm not shopping there.
I like that the algorithm has you pegged as cheap. It's just like Penzeys is not for them. It's fine.
But I did go looking when you brought this up. It's on their website. So, you know, it's pretty normal. A lot of what you'd expect, like lists of spices, where you can find them, buy them. But there's also this tab on the right that says about Republicans.
Yeah, so the owner of Penzeys, which I did not realize is headquartered in Wisconsin. I mean, I don't know that I ever thought about whether it was a local business or not, but I just Wisconsin. Anyway, they have a ton of locations. But the owner's name is Bill Penzey. He is not shy about his feelings about Republicans and how they have been backing Donald Trump or like changing their minds to then be in the corner of Donald Trump. There's a page on the website, but it also goes back further than that. So like in 2019, there's this LA Times story about spending $700,000 on Facebook for one ad campaign calling for Trump's impeachment. In 2022, he extended a Martin Luther King Day sale, so like a spice sale that they were having, to include a newsletter send that included the language "Republicans are racist" and made that part of the sale weekend.
Wow.
And then for the RNC this past July, so just like a few weeks ago, the store in Milwaukee there hung signs on the store that said "Welcome future fake electors" on their like outside windows. So anyway, basically he says Trump and what Trump has done to the Republican Party are the number one threat to America. So Penzeys is not shy about those feelings.
And I'm sure the Harris campaign is totally aware of all of this, so this makes sense why she'd visit.
Yeah. And just to look ahead a little bit, even after the debate tonight, Democrats will be back. Harris and President Joe Biden say they're going to be spending at least a portion of 9/11 this week at the Flight 93 Memorial in Shanksville. So just a reminder, the National Memorial up there, they're doing a moment of remembrance at 9:45 a.m. and at 2 p.m. on Wednesday, 9/11. It is free, and there's like a virtual option if you're into that. We'll put a link in the show notes.
Absolutely. And then if you're hoping to watch the debate tonight, it's going to be on ABC at 9 p.m. It's supposed to last 90 minutes. If you don't have cable, you can stream it on ABC News Live. That's their streaming service. I poked around. You do not need to make an account, which is really nice. So you just go to abcnews.go.com/live, or we'll have that link in the show notes. So just click on that. You can also tune into the debate on Disney Plus or Hulu.
And of course, we've been talking a lot about Democrats because they have been the ones in town. When Republicans visit, we will do the same for them. And if there are any important mentions about Pittsburgh or Western Pennsylvania during the debate tonight, I'm sure you will hear and see some updates from us on the podcast or in our Hey Pittsburgh newsletter. And we will wrap up today with some updates about our city's film scene. We have got a pretty big market here for film production, if you're not aware. And there have been some fun wins, I think, over the past few years.
Yeah, the size of the film industry here really surprised me when I moved. I didn't realize how many TV shows and movies scouted Pittsburgh as a filming location.
Yeah, more than you would think. I mean, I'm sure the scouting part is like a bigger list, right, than like the ones that actually end up landing here. But
Mm-hmm.
the industry itself has just gained so much ground here. Big credit to Dawn Keyser and all of the work that she's done with the Pittsburgh Film Office. She has been the head of the office here for 30 years. I think we're marking it
Yeah.
now. We actually had her on the show a while ago to talk about tax incentives that folks get to film here. Our number was teeny tiny. It has grown quite a bit. But Dawn has just been like such an ambassador, I think, for the town.
Yeah, that really came through in the interview she did with us. She also gave a rundown of some projects that were happening at the time
Mhm.
and told us about a local film curse. Spooky. I won't give out too many spoilers, but another link that we'll have in the show notes if you want to hear more.
Yeah, yeah. But while we were poking around about this, we found this link from Movie Maker magazine. Had not heard of that one, but I love a list. They named us the 13th best city, so large city, to live and work as a filmmaker. Philly is also on the list, and they beat us. They are number 12, unfortunately.
Honestly, that's another surprise for me that we're just behind Philly. Like, obviously, LA, New York City, all of those great places to be for film. And Philly as a city is just so much bigger than us. Like, I feel like they could compete with like LA or New York, but, I wouldn't guess that we could initially.
I mean, my guess would have been like number one was Atlanta or something, and they are much
Yeah,
higher on the
that's
list
true.
than us. I'm being a bad sport, I suppose. I'm glad that Pennsylvania is represented twice on a list. Although it'd be nice if we can both sneak into the top 10. That'd be even better.
Next year.
Yeah. But I think Pittsburgh is high because we can become almost anything. So we've got rivers and mountains and bridges and shiny skyscrapers and a ton of decaying old industrial spots.
Yep.
So like the location part can work for any kind of movie situation as long as you do not need a beach or like a palm tree. If that's your bag,
That's
then
where
I
LA
think you
comes
just have
in.
Yeah, you just have to stay in California for that. But affordability, I'm sure, is another bonus. Like we hear it all the time. Pittsburgh is just not quite as expensive as a lot of other big cities. We are still pricey, but it's on a different scale than some of those folks. But then we also have a lot of film crews, like people trained to do this work who live here already.
Mhm.
And again, credit to the film office for this. They have a ton of amazing training programs for people interested in joining the industry in all kinds of different ways.
Yeah, lots of good stuff on the film office's website. They also have casting calls,
Yep.
other industry jobs, another link that you can find in our show notes.
And then looking ahead to things that Pittsburgh is doing to make itself more attractive for shooting those movies, those TV shows, there's also going to be new sound stages coming to Rankin. So from the looks of it, like right beside or nearby the Cary blast furnaces.
Yeah, based on what I've read, it sounds like those have been in the works for years and have gained
Correct.
more traction recently. WPXI reported that there's a $2.3 million grant that's being used to redevelop the site for the sound stages, and there's going to be 6 total.
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to seeing what kinds of projects come in the future because of these sound stages, but also because of the lobbying efforts that have been going on behind the scenes for years. I mentioned that tax credit thing. So when big productions come here, they agree to use a certain percentage of local crew and local goods and services. And so we agree to subsidize those costs since they're all getting funneled right back into our local economies. So here in Pennsylvania, the rules are a little specific. We offer a 25% tax credit to films that spend at least 60% of their total budget in the Commonwealth. But we have a cap, which I think is what the film office here locally and in Philly argues is kind of like holding us back.
Mhm.
We have a $100 million cap on how much we can spend or reimburse. And that's kind of small compared to other large film meccas. And it means that like if people don't get in our pipeline and sign their paperwork and get it done early, then they're just SOL for the rest of the year because
Right.
like our window to do that is so small because of that cap. Just for kicks, I was looking at that movie maker list and who is in front of us, like which towns: Atlanta, Georgia, Chicago, Illinois. Like there's no cap in those states. In fact, they
Oh.
have project minimums. So like
Oh.
your thing has to
That's
be a
very different.
big enough budget that it's worth their time. New Mexico and Louisiana, both of them are larger. And it's not like it's the only piece of the puzzle, but it does help to make us more attractive. And for folks like Dawn Keyser and her counterparts elsewhere in Pennsylvania are really keen to increase that number.
Yeah, also something she talked about when she came on the pod for us. Well, we will wrap it up with a few more quick TV and movie updates because my neighbors, I think, are taking advantage of the last bit of summer and are blasting music and probably in their pool. Very jealous.
Good for them. That's the way to Monday.
Right. Back to the movies. One thing not filmed here, but very recently released, Beetlejuice, or as I like to call it, Beetlejuice with Jenna Ortega in it.
Yeah, but Beetlejuice 2, I don't know what to call it. Anyway, I really want to see it, but I'm going to need childcare to make it happen. It's got Pittsburgh's own Michael Keaton, who, since we were talking sports earlier, I will throw that he recently did a hit with Seth Meyers on the late night show.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Meyers' dad is from here too, and he's also a really big fan. So they were talking about their irrational confidence in Pittsburgh sports teams and exactly when it's appropriate to introduce the children in your life to Pittsburgh sports. It was very cute.
Well, another recently released piece of media, Chaos. It is a TV show on Netflix about Greek mythology. It stars Jeff Goldblum as Zeus. Goldblum's also from Pittsburgh. He grew up in Homestead. Honestly, I've watched several trailers and still am a little confused about what the show is about. I read one description that says Zeus is like spiraling into paranoia or something. I just think they let Jeff Goldblum be wacky, so I'm into it.
The characters, like at least from the trailer I saw, it just looks like he's playing himself.
Right, so I'm sold. Well, going to things that were actually filmed here. So a while ago, we mentioned that Warner Bros. Is making a new medical drama called The Pit. And, you know, keeping true to its namesake, since it's filmed in our city this week. The Trib says around Allegheny General, but they're doing a lot of their filming in Burbank, too. You know, California. I don't blame them for wanting sunnier skies. But when this was all first announced, we came up with a bunch of silly episode ideas. Has anyone called asking me to be a scriptwriter yet? I haven't checked our inbox recently.
I mean, if they did, I would be a proud reference for you, Sophia. But there is newer news to The Pit. The estate for author and screenwriter Michael Keaton, who was the showrunner for like the OG medical drama ER, they are suing Warner Brothers over The Pit. So KDK reports that the estate is saying that this is a direct reboot and that Warner Brothers was never given permission to make it.
I remember a lot of people involved in ER are also part of this new show. So
they are. And my mama is so excited about it.
Oh, good. So I get that there's that association, but there are also a lot of medical dramas. It feels like there's always going to be some similarity. Like, I feel like it's very hard to say that this is a direct reboot, you know?
I hear that, but also like, ER, at least in my brain, like kind of created that. Like it feels ubiquitous now, but like how much of that was a direct result of ER? I'm very glad that this is not for me to try to figure out the answer to. And we will see how similar The Pit is. But I guess the Crichton estate wants them to shut down production and pay up for damages already. And Warner Brothers is saying that it is an original show. So we will just have to see how it shakes out.
I am hoping it works out for The Pit because I want to power rank all of the local storylines.
Same.
But it also seems like Warner Bros. Maybe feels good about this legal battle if they're still currently filming.
Yeah, if it's starting up this week, right? And, you know, I'm all for protecting intellectual property, full stop. But also the Crichton estate is like currently making bank off Twisters, which is in theater still. And then the whole Jurassic Park series was him. Like, Michael Crichton thought of so many amazingly cool things, and so many of them are still running or like iterations of them or sequels to them. This estate cannot be hurting for cash.
No way. And just a couple more things you can watch now. The Deliverance is on Netflix. That was filmed in Pittsburgh. It's a horror film, you know, classic. Family moves into a new house and spooky stuff starts happening, demonic possession, all that stuff if you want to kick off Halloween season now. And season 3 of The Mayor of Kingstown, starring Jeremy Renner, is also available.
Yep. And I had fun reading an article City Paper did recently about reality TV show contestants from Pittsburgh. So this goes like in the Wayback Machine, kind of. But one addition I have for them, they did not mention my all-time favorite, a firefighter I once knew named Todd, who was on VH1's Dating Naked. It was superb. It was so good. Sophia, I'll send you the clip.
Thank you. Okay. So excited.
That's all for today here on CityCast Pittsburgh. Reminder, you can find all of our shows, old and new, on our website. That's pittsburgh.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow with more news from around the city. Talk to you soon.
Go. I'm brain not working. Panic.
No, brain's beautiful. Brain's doing what it's supposed to do. Brain is braining.